I feel the pressure, like just like daily work, like I have the position I need to like to make up for myself, like even being here. First thing I learned is I never want to touch hardware again. The more and more you talk to founders, like you can immediately factor out like which people are bullshitting you. And then I was like, I kind of saw that and I was like, yeah, like money really does make a difference. Ever since I was a kid, I kind of had like the what's the worst that could happen mindset. My mom's like, you are gonna get kidnapped by a stranger someday.
What are some of the skill sets that someone would have to nail down to be able to get to a position like yours?
Multiple things, mostly like
Welcome, Alvin. How's it going? You've been posting various stories on your Instagram with like prominent people within the tech industry, including Sam Altman, Jensen Huang, and recently John Collins. Tell me a little bit about like the first time you entered into the tech industry. How was that like? And like, what's your journey been?
I think the first time I ever did anything tech related was like genuinely tech related was this competition called X Prize Rainforest. It's basically what X Prize is this was in high school around my like right after my freshman year, and we're going to sophomore year. Freshman year was about over and we heard about this competition. It's like X Prize. What it is a engineering for the greater good program, or like several year program and competition that they do multiple events, like usually backed by Peter Diamandis. Elon Musk is the one doing X Prize Carbon. He's offering $100 million to any team or series of teams that is able to like solve the carbon crisis.
Oh, is that still up for grabs? Do you know if
No,
anyone like
it's already like really well into the process. Like semifinalists came already.
Oh,
like it was decided recently, like these past few days.
hey.
So yeah, we didn't do that, but we did Rainforest. Essentially, it was just best way to gather biodiversity data in the atmosphere or oceans, or like bodies of water in rainforests or like biomes. And I was definitely not about to make a drone or anything flying because I just did not care and didn't want to put in the energy. And I was cut by like helicopter blades on RC helicopters when I was a kid.
No way.
So I was like, I have scars from that. I'm not gonna make something that could chop my head off. So we ended up making like an ocean robotics project, and basically it was like a fly-by-wire mechanized robot that can travel underwater. Like fly-by-wire is just like as long as your wire is long enough, it can go anywhere you want. It's not by like any radio signal or anything. And it had these two grabber arms that were pretty accurate, just can harvest anything from coral to barnacles to other samples on the ocean floor. And that was that. We did pretty well. We got sponsored. Like my co-founder at the time, well, we didn't really call it co-founder, just like three of us just started it and we wanted advisors, other people doing it with us. So I guess it was just like three co-founders together. Like I guess for like their own privacy reasons, I'm just not going to say their name, but right now one of them's at Harvard, the other guy's at Stanford. But so ranking wise, I think I'm the
no, you still have a great institution lined up for you. I mean, Berkeley is an amazing place. But tell me a little bit about like, were you the what's it called? Were you the one that spearheaded this idea to begin with, or did it just come
was
naturally?
the one who was just like, oh, we should go do this competition. But at first it was a joke. We were like, are gonna try to get as far as we can. Probably gonna fail because you have these teams that are like historically it's like these university or corporate backed teams that are winning, and we're like, we're not going to go anywhere. And we ended up going somewhere, but like obviously like we ended up selling the product years after. But my co-founder, his dad worked at Lockheed Martin, and then he just so happened to know someone pretty high up in Lockheed Martin. Like I just won't like say who, but like you can probably get like it was like C-suite.
And what was their role? They were mentoring you?
No, not mentoring you. They're like kind of like they got other engineers to mentor us, and they also cut us a sponsorship check for us to buy resources. Because they're like, okay, you have build a 1/4 model on your own, and then when you're actually going to make the real thing, come back and tell us. And it was kind of it was like it ended up being half the size of a Prius, the actual product. So when we made 1/4 of that, we're like, oh shit. So yeah, they cut us around 250
Oh wow.
K, and we also went to a VC because my friend's dad worked at a venture capital firm. Or like he was a LP for another venture capital firm. LP is just a limited partner. They're the ones who give the investors money, so they invest in the investors, and they get around like 80% or like whatever like percentage ratio that they secure beforehand. Yeah, that was that. He was like, okay, I'm friends with these guys in Sequoia. You should go pitch them. Be like, hopefully they can give you a sponsorship check too. I pitched her, and she was like, okay, what you guys are asking is definitely a lot. Like, we don't do these sponsorships. Like, we'll probably, if you guys are looking for like 5-10K, sure, we can give you that on the spot. But like, what we think you need is a lot of money. And we're like, sure, how much can you give us? And they gave us some like random 6-figure digit. And we're like, holy shit.
Not bad for a first venture, right?
I think it was because we approached them with a full like quarter model because we were spending our parents' money. I think it costed us what, like, added up $75,000.
Oh my gosh, just to develop this prototype and like show working product.
Just purely buying the material and designing the entire thing. And we outsource a lot of the design to like friends, other like systems like online that would help us do it. And it ended up just like my parents, my other two co-founders' parents, and then like a little grant that we got from the city that was like sponsoring these things. It was a decent amount of money, and then we made it. And what else? Let me see.
Where is that now today? Like the startup?
Oh, we sold it off around just under a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious, like, what were the kind of the takeaways from this? I know you're working on a lot of different stuff right now, but before I want to touch upon it, I just want to know, like, what were kind of the lessons you learned from pursuing a startup, exiting successfully from such a young age also?
The first thing I learned is I never want to touch hardware again. It's probably, I would much rather, like, I know I'm not the best. Like, there's definitely, like, anyone who watches this or anyone that hears about this in the future, there's definitely so much more people that are better at creating models, algorithms, or just better at CS than me in general. I, like, fully know that, like, but, like, I still am pretty confident that I can handle myself pretty well in CS. And I was like, making software so much easier. I don't know why I argued with my dad and that I didn't want to do CS in college. And then, so that was that. And then number two is just like pure grit. Like there were definitely weeks that we just barely slept, or some nights that you were so excited or so stressed from school, handling school, other like programs, because we're still high school students. We want to get into college and like doing this. So like some days we literally just couldn't fall asleep because we were so stressed. And so like we reached a height, like we're securing partnerships and we're doing demos and like seed trials with this thing, right, during college apps, like as college season this summer turned around. And throughout those few months, I think I dropped a collective around 23 to 27 pounds.
Oh my gosh, really?
And like my mom was like, I was kind of chubby because like, you know, we were coming out of quarantine. And I was just like sitting at home or like sitting in China and just like every day, just like, oh, go online. Class starts at 9:30. I wake up at 9:28, slap my computer open, turn on Zoom, and I just like call in attendance. And I just like turn the screen dark and say like, hey, I'm having video problems. I can't do it. And then I just go back to sleep. And then sometimes I forget to turn my mic off and they hear me snoring.
I think what you just told me, like, it really embodies what you hear a lot in Silicon Valley, right? Like these people getting so obsessed with like a problem or whatever their product is, to the point where they forget to like take care of themselves. So, you know, I really admire that passion. So I want to ask you, like, what were you aiming for at the time? You know, you said you really was like tough through all the hard times of this startup. How were you able to do so? Like, what were you aiming for? Where did your passion stem from?
Right. We actually did not want to turn this into a startup at all. We did not come about this project thinking that we're going to make money off of it. We purely just wanted to win, and we wanted to do this project because we thought it was really cool, and we were all had vested interest into it. Like one of my co-founders, his dad was like doing like mechanical engineering and product design, and he was really interested. And I just wanted to like build something cool like in the water, because like I did water sports all throughout my life. like diving, swimming, water polo. So I was just like really natural in the water. So that's also the reason why we chose ocean robotics and not just something in the air that could probably chop your head off. That was that. Like we sourced through, and then like after we started talking to VCs and like the people that we were doing seed trials with, and that's when they actually said like, oh, we are actually really down to use this product for our own R&D purposes. So a few years after that, like we got to semifinalists. Basically lost because all the teams were actually like really, really legit, and they probably had like millions in funding already. We're just like, we sent out emails and phone calls and just texted everyone that we had numbers or emails for. Like, thank you for supporting us for in the past few years. Like a month after, I got an email back from these guys that was doing C trials for us. And we're like, they're like, no. We've been doing this with you guys for years. Like, I don't want you to like fail. Like, I know you're doing it for a competition, but we actually like what you're doing. Tweak it for us. And at this point, I was already like almost in college. And I was like, sure. More hours of not sleeping.
That's great.
So yeah, that actually just turned it. So like genuinely, we got a good amount of money out of it when we sold it to them. But I can just say money was not what we were looking for. It just happened to come along the way. Right. And I think what you were asking earlier, like all these famous or like successful tech entrepreneurs on my like posts or like pictures and getting invited to events from them. Like Jensen, Sam, like every time we talk to them, we're at their panels, they say like, money's not the first thing that we're looking for. Right. I think like I respect Sam and Jensen a lot because, I mean, it's obvious, like everyone knows OpenAI started as a research institution. And then Jensen started somewhere in like a Denny's, right. Dream, like mopping, like washing dishes and cleaning toilets. Like, I think like genuinely, like I do not think, not in my next few lifetimes, if that's ever a thing, that I would not be able to go from like cleaning a toilet to creating a company like Nvidia. Right. Like I just don't think that's possible for me. I don't know how he did it.
It really is amazing hearing his story, right? It's like, how did you even do that?
Yeah.
So
like
I love this character.
Because like we all heard about it like on TV, on news stations, and then we're finally like my firm, like we were invited to Nvidia's HQ for their conference for like a VIP reception and like client reception after the actual GTC conference was ending. And it was because our biggest portfolio company, ByteDance, the people who made Douyin and TikTok, Douyin is just like Chinese TikTok. If no one knows about this, you can only use it like Chinese app store or like on the mainland. And we were the ones who like backed TikTok, where my managing partner was basically helping them with government regulations and like actually getting them to handle themselves because they were about to get shot down by the government. So after a few months, almost a year of working with them, TikTok successfully, where ByteDance successfully pulled through and finally went to market as a product. So like in return, they were just like so thankful that they divided her personal shares, and then like they gave us like equity in the company, let us invest a lot more than normally we would have been able to. And it was like, no matter where ByteDance goes in the future, you guys will always like be there with us. Like if it weren't for you, ByteDance might not exist, or like it might not be like valued or exist as what it currently is today. And then we found out that Nvidia has this thing called the Inception program. It's where it's like think about it as Nvidia's own incubator and accelerator for startups, kind of like what YC and Plug and Play does, but this is much more corporate arm. And they also have this thing called a VC alliance, where they bring in a lot of investors, multifamily offices, corporate VCs, or just normal institutional VCs. I just like mix and match them, like just like perfect like ecosystem for startups, ecosystem for VCs, and just throw them together, and it works out. And like a lot of her portfolio companies ended up actually being a part of this Inception program, and we never knew about this. It was like early in the day. Like ByteDance was one of them, and they found out. And like ByteDance is actually one of Nvidia's clients, really big clients too. Like at the end of the day, like everyone thinks Nvidia, like TikTok is just a social media company. Like everyone has EDD, like ADD because of TikTok now. It's like I don't think. I mean, even me too. I was born with ADHD, so I kind of already know it. And then like every time I'm on like Chinese TikTok, I'm just like swiping through half minute long videos, and then I'm sitting through class and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, how did a 1.5 minute video like that I can watch like hundreds of in one night and sleep at like 5 a.m. sometimes turn into a 1 hour and 30 minute long lecture? I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry.
Sometimes I just picture in my head like my professor I'm starting to like learn from my professor through just like swiping through like clips of him. I wonder like if there's a future of that where your professor just solely posts short form content to the point where you can binge it and it's entertaining to you.
I think they're definitely like students would definitely be open to this, and there are content like educators making e-content like on Chinese and American platforms. Like there's always like YouTube people, like just like some guy, some chemistry tutor on YouTube, and like his videos are really interesting. Like he makes it interesting, and people actually learn much more than him than they learn in high school or like professors' classes. Like there's things like this, but those are like actual long videos. Short ones, they're definitely possible, but it's like really hard for the person making the lectures to make. So I guess like that's the reason why, and like it would have to take a lot of velocity into that like series for them to actually make money off of it.
I think there's a business idea right there. If you can find a way to make professors interesting and be able to post their content for them, there might be a lot of money behind that. Yeah. So you touched upon it a little bit, and just knowing a little bit about your background, you're involved in a lot, or you're involved in an industry where money is a big thing. But
Very.
yeah, but I wanted to touch upon like before I go into that kind of like aspect of your life, you know, you mentioned before that conversation, or before our conversation right now, that about your exit and how you weren't doing it for money. But when you are at
Like
a young age,
just like fully cutting you off now. Like now I'm fully doing it for money.
now you're fully doing it
Yeah.
for money.
Like,
Like
I mean,
startups or your
I
jobs?
mean, like startups job, like VC. Like if you're not doing VC for money, sometimes I feel like, why do you doing VC in the first place?
Right,
Like, sure.
right.
Like I do want to like be the ones known, like, oh, we raised this company. Like this was us. We helped them grow. Like this really is what we're doing at like the firm that we work for. And like every firm, every startup that we actually, or like I choose to invest in, like we do, like this is our thesis. We're giving you money, but we're also giving you resources. Like every like company that we've backed in the past, like Rippling, ByteDance, Xiaomi, Neo, Lotus Cars, like they're not like, a lot of their founders come back and invest in our fund, or they come back and be advisors for our fund. So they're helping us invest again. But once like say that we have a company that's doing a lot of like hardware, like cars, semiconductors, robots, whatever, and they go really big, and like some of them like already exist. iFlight Tech, they make these like AI hardware sets. Like there's this NLP earbud that they make that we've been testing around. Those founders are willing to come out and help these new companies that we invest in. And that's one of the biggest value adds that we give. Like I think it's like it's pretty rare to get another, like there's some really respectable VC funds out there like Sequoia, Anderson, and Pear. And I have a lot of friends who work for these companies, and I just don't think I just haven't seen them do it the same way that we have done. Right. So like everyone just turns into a network, and just to share insights and share opinions, and even share like work ethics and like working with each other.
It's invaluable,
Yeah.
or way more than like the price tag that you initially give, right?
Yeah. So like we might like say we invest $30 million into this like growth equity stage company, and they need help on their product, they need help on marketing and sales. Or just be like, if we can help you do it from our own connections, we're just be like, hey, they're doing e-commerce or B2C products. We have these guys that are doing like some of the biggest like e-commerce and like online sales, like ByteDance. Like TikTok is actually in China, it's actually a really big like buying platform, because there's these shops that they set up that you can just sell things through, and so many people buy them. And then all this like, there's thousands and thousands of live streamers that all they do is just like market products. Really? And they make so much money off of it. And I think that's probably where like a lot of ByteDance's revenue comes in. Like just these platforms, so we get like people like core engineers, core like founding engineers, members, and like they'll just come out and like help you with it. Like they probably won't like tamper with your product fully, but they can definitely give you crucial insights that can turn you around. Right. And we've seen that multiple times.
But what I really wanted to ask you was like, as someone who was able to successfully exit, and now someone who's dealing with large funds, what is your relationship with money like, and how are you able to define and like tell me like what money means to you?
Yeah, sure. I think like a lot of people's impression in high school, college, older or younger, it's just like they think money is just something that can give them what they want. They're like, people are like, oh, money doesn't give you happiness. Could be false, could be true. But what it definitely does give you are opportunities, and it gives you the freedom to make a choice. I think like both my grandparents basically died to cancer for different reasons. But my first one, my paternal, like on my dad's side, like he passed away to lung cancer when I was around 6 or 7 years old. And this is when like our family did not have that much like assets on hand. Like we couldn't like send him over to the US to receive the best hospital care, put him in a hospice or like put caretakers on them. And we could barely, like at the time, so my grandpa, like he had 3 kids. So like my dad's the middle child, like unfortunately, that my dad always says. So his older brother is like, I think he's in Indianapolis. So like they weren't as, like they're not as affluent too. And my dad's younger brother just like stays with like their parents, like in Hunan, like it's a province in China, like in Changsha, the city, same thing. And like they all like put a lot of their own money together, but like no one was really had enough to like fully support care and chemo and all that. So by the time they found out like it was really, really bad, he was already stage 4 lung cancer. Like this guy like fought in wars, did all kinds of things, and then at the end of the day, he's like, cigarettes killed me. But he was like, just like really like passed away like really badly, I guess, because it was on a hospital bed, like out in the hallway, like not even in an actual hospital room. And then my dad actually, I remember because it was like, you know, like when they say when you're 6-year-old, you're actually like finally developing like memory. Like one of my first memories of like my dad being sad was like him crying like at the funeral, and like days and days after, like he couldn't get over it. He's like, I went to the US, got like a PhD, master's, all kinds of like really big degrees from like really esteemed schools, but I still couldn't come back and like help my dad. Like we knew he was gonna pass away, but like we couldn't like make him pass away like in a painless way. And then like that was like, and then right after, kind of around 2014, 15ish was when like my parents finally started making a lot on their, like we run a real estate family office at home, and then we also do other like startup investments through other funds, and that's when they actually started like making a lot of money back. So my maternal, like my mom's dad, he got like a brain tumor around in COVID, like 2021. And this is when it was like really obvious that we were able, like my mom was able to like get him checked out by Stanford doctors. The surgery was all done by Stanford doctors. Right. And he was like in a really well taken care hospice with around the clock, like day and night caretakers whenever he needed. And it was like the really big impact. And like, even though he passed away, my parents were like, they were really sad that he passed away, but they're also really happy that he left in like a really like nice, like he took it really like in a really nice way compared to how my dad's like dad passed away. You would provide that. Yeah. And then I was like, I kind of saw that and I was like, yeah, like money really does make a difference. And that was like when they say like, if it doesn't give you happiness, it'll definitely give you like things like this. So like when you really need it, it can help you so much. But then again, it's like if you have like the more you have, I guess like it's always a good thing. Like you can like go do off and do whatever you want. Like the first thing anyone gets when they get a job is like, oh, I want to high paying. I want to get financial freedom as soon as possible. I want to go like tour the world, buy a house, buy a car, whatever. Like most people usually have the same dream, right? Like if they could. And I've like the high school I went to, I guess it was in a pretty affluent area. And a few of my friends' parents were like exited tech founders or investors. And it was really funny because I went to my friend's house once and his dad was like, oh, we're going to a wedding right now. Like we're going to go to Hawaii. And I was like, he was like, you want to join? Because I was really good friends with him. And I was actually the person who got him out of a drug addiction in high school. So yeah. that was really just like really thankful. And like he finally met me in person. He's like, oh yeah, you like I know you're doing all this like startup, like you're trying to get into like investing stuff. Like anyways, like just come on our family trip, blah blah blah. And I was like, don't we have to bring like we have to like plan tickets, right? Usually have to buy them usually a few days where we can advance. And his dad was like, no, we don't have to. We have a jet. And I was looking at him like, I was like, what?
That was the biggest
You have a jet? Like his dad just says it in the most chill way. He's like, oh, we have a jet. We can leave like right now if you want to. And I was like, question mark? And I was like, you have a jet? And that's when my friend on the other side, he was like, this is when he finally flexed on me. Like I always knew that he came from a really like wealthy family, but we never really knew how wealthy. And I did, like, frankly, I didn't care. I was like, you're one of my best friends in high school, and I've done a lot of things with you. And he wasn't like, not yeah,
multiple.
not So like, and then I was like, how many? I was like, can I ask how many? And then they like his dad just raised up like 2 or 3. I forgot it was like 2 or 3 fingers, and I was like, whoo. Like you just like if you give me like the engine to like one of those jets, I'd be set. You know, like I'd have a lot of money. I actually don't even know how much engines are worth, but I'm guessing there's like a few $1 million or like more. I was like, okay. Unfortunately, we do have a senior trip planned. We are going to like Europe because we're graduating, and his dad was like, oh, okay, you guys have fun. And then that's when I was like, oh, must be nice. You can do whatever. Like you can quite literally do whatever you want whenever you want. And like you never have to take shit from anyone.
It's a time machine, right? Is what all the billionaires
basically. They're like money buys you time, and like when you're spending time on something, like you're usually wasting it on something else. So yeah, that's when I was like, okay, I wanna try doing that too. And it was also the first time. It was like the first time I was like really impressed with like finance and what startup returns can do. Was when we were talking to the Sequoia partner, and they were talking to us about like the returns that VCs have gotten in the past. Like they invest what, like $1 million, $2 million into really early stage companies, and they probably invest a max of 10 million.
Pre-idea or like
no, usually just like seed stage, Series A, and like they finally get their startup off the ground and rolling. They probably already have revenue, and they just want to raise and like upscale everything, like hire more people to work on their product, enhance it, get sales, get clients, blah blah blah. And I think there was I forgot what company it was, but they made what? They invested $10-15 million total, and they made over like several hundred million back. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh. And we get to split that profit, huh? And they're like, yeah. And that's why I was like, oh my God, you get so much. And also I was like, I want to do both. Like I want to do this investing thing, and I want to do startups on the side. Or like just like half and half. Like there's definitely recommendations from people, and I like take them really seriously. They're like, if you're gonna do a startup company, put 150% into it. Like you don't have time for anything else. Mm-hmm. And I do agree. Like if I did want to make something that scalable to like a unicorn level, unicorn is just like a valuation of 1 billion or more. And like I would definitely just like put all my time into it. But like everything that my friends and I have been making, like my co-founders of what we're doing right now, different startup, just like we know this isn't really scalable that high, and frankly we don't really want it to. It's just like we're gonna spend a few years on this, graduate college, work another few years on it, and then we're gonna sell or get acquired where like something's gonna happen to it, and we're gonna be making enough by then, so like we'd be financially free and like do whatever we want. Right. So like once we get to like that value, like personally, and like not dependent on your parents or anything, or loans and mortgages, and then I'm just going to go like pursue what I actually want to do, like genuinely more of like whatever I want to do. And that's basically like our goal right now. So yeah.
So this is a really late like question for sure during this conversation, but you know, you touched upon it a little bit on like how at certain points in your life you were interested in investing and how you got into touch with these people, and you've told me about how your psychology when it comes to investing. How did you get into the investing space and venture capital? Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like ever since I was a kid, or like middle school, like later middle school, like when I was in 8th grade. Like my parents finally started like fully developing the real estate office, like family office, like buy, sell, hold, sometimes like invest into other like real estate holdings. And that's when I was, and then they would also, my dad was interested in startup investments, and that, like they invest into other funds. So I was really interested. And I think that's like the first part. And then like when I was a kid, I didn't really know what it was. And then like I got older, and then like we met people in Sequoia, Greylock, like the VC, like the actual VC people that are like so well known around the world. And I'm like, okay, I want to do this. So graduated high school. I was in China at the time. Went down to Hong Kong, Shanghai, just traveled around. And one of my parents' friends was like, "Oh, like I remember, like you're really interested in these things." And he called us up, and he was like, "There's this really good, prominent VC firm that's hiring, and they have a panel right now. You should go sit in on it. You're in the city, anyways." And I went in, became like after like a whole process, I became one of their venture fellows, because this is when like FutureX wanted to fully dive deep into the United States. Like they already had a lot of investments here, but they wanted to like raise branches, like grow presence of themselves, like PR, more connections, more people that would like be out like working for them, sourcing for them. And I basically just started doing that work.
And you and your dad fit that bill, right? Where it's like, what is the American like landscape look like?
Yeah, and then what was even a bigger coincidence is that my parents actually ended up being investors in this fund.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't know. And then like it was at a point that like they invested a nice little amount, and they were just like waited years on it, because usually like when you cash into any fund, usually you expect like at least 6, 8, 9 years to
And this is all
actually
just from real
exit
estate.
out. No, this wasn't real estate. This was like startup investing, because like FutureX is just a VC firm. We don't do anything real estate related.
Oh, I meant to be able to like invest in the fund itself. It
Yeah.
all stemmed
Like,
from real
it
estate.
all stemmed from them doing like buy sell real estate holdings and everything. And yeah, I did a lot of deals for them, like over 200 startups in, and then we did like some of them, a decent amount of them got invested in, probably a dozen or two. And one of them ended up going public, and another 2 became unicorns. Like certain things that I did got me promotions. Like I became one of their US based general partners. And now like Nathan and I, this other GP that's working on Nick's Ventures with me, we came out and we're making a fully just like independent US fund, because we want to do early stage investment here on a full scale.
And you're gonna start on college campuses.
No, we're not doing college campuses. Like we can definitely allocate to college founders if we think they're really prominent. Like I have a few friends that I'm literally like one of them I'm going to cut a check for tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So like Tianlin. So if you're watching this later, congrats. Well, you already know this. So anyways, that's that. And I think like I have like at the same time that I've been cutting checks for people, like I do have to raise for the fund, because like when you get to partner, your responsibilities aren't just sourcing deals and getting your firm like the best access to networks and connections and resources. You also have to raise money for it.
Right.
So like you're gonna be like you also have to give them a buy-in. Usually like the GPs share 2% of the fund, or like 1%, like 1 to 2%. And then I put my buy-in in, kind of bankrupted me at the time. Like not really, but like it hurt. Okay, it hurt. But yeah, like to date, I've raised like a good medium value 8-figure number for the fund. So they're really happy. I'm really happy. And it comes from like CVCs, multifamily offices, and other private family investors. So that's basically where some of our money resources is going, like either on the FutureX or Nick's Ventures side. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing.
So for college students that are wanting to explore maybe like this path of venture capital, do you think it's something that's worth pursuing? Do you think it's worth building your way up from, I think they start as a venture scout, right? And
Yeah,
they work
venture
their up.
scout, venture fellow, venture partner, like matters whatever fund that you work for. I think like a lot of people say, like founders say this, founders that turned into VCs say this, current VCs that came from like finance or consulting backgrounds, they all say this. A lot of them do. Just like don't go into VC out of college. And to some extent, I both agree and disagree on that. I think I got lucky. Like, I guess like, okay, I did put in the work. It was like a lot of skill, a lot of time, a lot of like effort put in. But it was also just luck that I was able to get done what I got done. Like my track record and how much I was be able to raise to be given that promotion. Usually they would have never done this. Like if that fund was here and I did the same work, I think at most I would have been like a principal. It's usually the level before partner. Like they were just like, we do need American partners, and American partners means you also have a U.S. passport. Right. And perfect, I did have a U.S. passport, and they believed that I could bring so much value to them that this promotion was worth their time and worth them telling the world that like, oh, look, we have a 19-year-old that we just made into a partner. You guys are going to live with it. And I was like, cool, thanks.
Do you ever feel like the pressure that you have to live up to that position?
Definitely. I feel the pressure, like just like daily work. Like I have the position I need to like make. It's just like I have to make up for myself, like even being here. And every time I go to like just like panels or conferences, and I tell them like, oh, I'm a partner with da da da. They're like, oh, cool. You look young. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still in college. And they're like, so you're a partner still in college? And I'm like, yeah. So like a lot of people are impressed. Some people are skeptical. Right. Like they have a right to be. Like if I was in their position, I'd be like, who the hell are you? Like what hole did you crawl out from? I've never heard of you before. And like those are definitely some looks that I've been given like in college. Like people are like here. And like people out in the industry. But like I think it's getting like the more and more as I go this, and like the more as your name actually goes out with your record and like what you're doing. So like startups have to know you, other investors have to know you, other like investors that allocate to VC funds also have to know you. And I guess like the more I do this, the more I like improve myself and like how like we act around other people. Just like your name goes out and people trust you more and more. So I would say like should you go into VC right out of college? You can go into VC while you're still in college. Like you spend working as a venture fellow, and then get enough work done that they hopefully probably promote you to like a full-on associate or analyst over summer. You would do more work for them. By the time you graduate, you'd probably be a principal.
What are some of the skill sets that someone would have to nail down to be able to get to a position like yours?
Multiple things, mostly like really commit due diligence into a startup. This usually means like looking into a founder's background, looking into like why the founders are making this, like what they did before. Does it really translate into what can they make now? Like a lot of people think they're successful or like they would be successful. They're probably like the best engineers that Google, Microsoft, Apple has ever seen. But if they came out and made this something on their own and we put like millions into you, like sometimes like I genuinely like we're not getting that money back. Right. And you have to like realize like, is this the right person to lead? Like, are you going to be like spending your hours? And like, I don't care if you spend your hours in. You have to like be doing the right product, fitting it into the right market. And there's like so many other like factors go into this that like even sometimes like half the time, I think like VCs, I don't think any VC can be like 100% sure until like later. Be like, oh, I'm going to invest $10 million into you. I know you're going to be like Google. Like when people first invested in Google or Amazon, I doubt those people knew that it would be what it would be. I think it's like could be like you could do due diligence on it for months, like fully examine the background and the product and the market that this company is doing. At the end of the day, there's like a very big, like significant, like not too big. There's a very significant non-zero chance that you're literally just gambling.
Right. But it's all about making those calculated gambles, right? For you
calculated
to be able to
gambles. I mean, like everything that I've been looking at is like mostly just like earlier growth stage deals, like Series A or B, and like a lot of pre-seed, seed, early stage deals. So mostly what we look at, just what I've been looking at is like companies' products, like what kind of like we test their MVPs. We're asked to look at their MVPs and look at the founders' backgrounds, and then we look at what they've done in the past, why they're doing it now, a lot of other things.
So to recap, the main thing is essentially just being able to filter out like what makes a good founder versus what's not, right? And that just comes through investing multiple times, putting the effort into the research.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like the more and more you do this, I can genuinely say that the more and more you talk to founders, like I guess it helps that like I founded a company with my friends in the past. Like you kind of know like which people are, you can immediately factor out like which people are bullshitting you, which people like really want to do this but don't really know what they're doing, and which people like really want to do this and know exactly what they're doing, might not have the resources to do it. That's when you can step in like, oh, I'm going to give you the funding, I'm going to give you those resources, and I'm pretty confident you can go do this. Really, these are like the best choices. And sometimes there's a lot of people that like, they basically just come up like, I don't want to say scam, if you know what I mean, but like they like what they're saying and how much they're asking for basically sounds like one. So I mean, like I guess like in a very like simplified, dumbed down version, you have to know how to call bullshit. You have to know how to look into someone, and you also have to just have like understand what you're looking at. So like you need to have a very, you don't have to like understand it enough to build it, but you definitely have to understand what you're hearing from someone and be able to just think, oh, this is going to work. This is interesting. People are going to use this. This is like tech that you can enhance, that they're enhancing, or this is something that we've never seen before. And it would be really good for like consumers or clients that they have, like either your B2B, B2C, B2G, and like whoever you sell it to, like you have to like make something that they would want.
So really not good analytical skills. So it definitely does seem like a pretty tough job then. It's analytical skills, it's soft skills, and it's also having the experience and the knowledge to know like what works in a given industry and what doesn't, right?
Yeah. And then like that's like when you're running your due diligence. Number two is that I don't think I've seen a partner or like of like a decent fund, like good and like any well-known fund that was not social. Like I think when they say like VC is a very social finance game, like it's like yes and no. Like I don't think you can like go outsource, like be like talk to so many people and like not have a very high like emotional like emotional quotient and like social, like what is it, like be an E person, like an E or an I. Like you have to be like outgoing. Sure. Like you'll be really tired at the end of the day. It's like when they say social, it's not really just like going out and talking to people. But like you have to like really narrate what you talk about, how you talk about it, how you talk about yourself, your fund, and how you would talk about other startups. You can't just go and be like talk to this founder and be like, oh, and go to someone else like, oh, that guy was shit. Like I don't like you can think that, but like if you go around saying it, then it's just your reputation's bad. They don't like you. They'll tell their friends, and their friends will hear about you, and then like that's how like you ruin the reputation of yourself and your fund.
So going back to what I kind of introduced you with in terms of like meeting these like super more well-known people, you know, a lot of the advice I hear is that if you want to connect with people, treat them like people. Don't go into like business. Do you see that to be true with approaching people such as these, or do you think it's all business in the end?
Both. I think there's a very like celebrity conception of these founders, like Jensen, Elon. Like they're definitely celebrities at this point, and then like people hold them higher than themselves. Like in some way, I guess they are like they are like much more well developed, richer, and like well known than you are. And some people would just be like not have the confidence to go up. It's like, oh, they wouldn't want to talk to me. And like I guess like what helped me a lot is that like ever since I was a kid, I kind of had like the what's the worst that could happen mindset.
Right.
Like what's the worst thing this person can do to you? And I would just like go up to like people in airports when I was a kid and be like, hello, like what's her name, blah blah blah. And like my mom's like, you are gonna get kidnapped by a stranger someday. Like I grew up like in high school and college, and I just go up to these people and like introduce myself, introduce what I'm doing. And like most of the time, like if you're actually doing something genuine, like when I was saying like, oh, I'm investing, like, oh, I'm making a startup, and then they see that you're young. Like usually when you're in college, you don't look that old. When you're in high school, like sometimes they listen to you, like make a pitch of yourself and what you're doing good enough. Like just keep practicing it. Right. The more you say it, the better you're gonna get at it. Like it's like an elevator pitch. Like you're gonna have the reason why they call it an elevator pitch is that the time that you spend in an elevator is really short. It's not like Captain America, like fighting for a good 5 minutes. Like you usually only have like 10, 20, 30, maybe
I
a
never
bit
knew
more.
that the reason why it was called that actually until now.
No, like an elevator pitch. Like the time that you spend in an elevator is really short. So like if you can like catch someone's attention in an elevator, then they'll actually like be interested in what you're doing.
Do you care to share what that is?
Huh?
Do you care to share like what your pitch is here?
I think like usually what I say is like sometimes when I introduce like, oh hi, my name's Alvin, I'm a general partner at like this fund, and I'm also a founder working on like say what we're doing right now is we're trying to fully automate political campaigns, and our track record is good enough that we've gotten people into U.S. Congress, and we've worked with incumbents to like raise money for their campaigns, help them keep their seats, and even worked with the DNC chair, like the chairman on cold call automation. And they hear that, they're like, okay. Sure, like you're interesting, I'll talk to you. Right. And then I guess it's like we put so much time and effort into like developing ourselves and what we're making and this pitch, like also like everything combined, that the moment we ramble it off like in that what was that, 15, 20, 30 seconds at most, that like they're actually interested. So like, yeah, it feels crazy. And then, but like, it's really obvious that the more you do this, like the more like you actually see that like they might not be willing to talk to you, but like they'll at least like be willing to hear you out. Yeah. So today, like my friends, like when I was there at the conference yesterday, we pitched Sam Altman. Mm-hmm. So he pitched him his company, I pitched him mine, and I was pitching him mine, and he was like, that seems dangerous, but I like it. It's interesting. Like we can talk about this more, because the day before yesterday, or like 2 days ago, we found Jack Altman, so his younger brother. Mm-hmm. And like Altman, he's the managing partner of Alt Capital. And you probably like would know like Altman, Alt Capital, like just, you can probably make the connection. Right. And he was like, my brother's speaking at Stanford, like this, we also told him about these, and he's like, you should go talk to my brother too. Like he might like this idea. And, we found him, like caught him after like an hour or two of just waiting outside and just like blocking off. Like I found like the car that he was going to go into after his panel. I cut him off right there. And I'm like, and I was like, I got him this McLaren. It's on my LinkedIn or Instagram post. Like I posted it on LinkedIn. So like if you search my name, I'll put
up a photo like somewhere right here.
And it was just like, we had those McLaren box, and I was like, I remember like reading or like seeing somewhere like in some article or a random post online that like Sam Altman owns this like McLaren F1 car.
Really?
And I was like, okay, this is perfect. We have a McLaren car. Like, I'm sorry to whoever gave me that McLaren thing in the morning, but like, your car's being put to a nicer use, okay? Like, we signed our name on it, I put my number on it, I put my name. My friend put his number in his name, and we wrote a bunch of like OpenAI, like fanboy stuff. And then we just gave it to him. Like, it was perfect. It was his birthday, and then like we just gave it off to him. And like we gave it to him. We pitched him on the spot. I got photos done. And then like he was interested in both of it. Like he also respected that like we were there for the hustle. And if all goes well, we are like officially meeting them virtually, like for a meeting next week or next week.
And this is for which startup? It was for
our political campaigning.
The political campaign. Yeah. Did you want to touch a little bit about like what that is?
Technology wise, no. Like we physically like just rather like not. But like with the description that I had previously is that we're automating everything. But like at first you're just using computer algorithms. Like say you're trying to automate cold calls or emails. Usually you'd have a team of like 10, 20, even more people sifting through phone books and emails, just sending shit out. And they spend a lot of time, they spend a lot of money, and people usually get pissed because like we get pissed off. So congressional districts, or if you ever run for like anyone who knows politics, every congressional district is only 750,000 people. This is why that a state like California has 40, 50 something congressmen. Places like Wyoming probably has like one or two. Literally for that big of a state, no one lives up there because it's so cold. And they probably border Canada. That's probably the reason why. No offense to any Canadians. And then, so that's how you do the, like how elections work. And then there's only so many people there. So like if you piss off like a lot of people, then they're just going to be annoyed. Like some people don't pick up. There's like statistics that some people pick up really annoyed. Some people are actually interested when they pick up. And like they usually like mark it down. Like I actually didn't know this, but like when we were talking to congressmen and other like people running for city assembly or whatever, they actually like their teams like one by one mark it down. And that's when we realized like political campaigns, like they spend so much time, labor intensive, human capital intensive. Like, what if we just automate this? And then we went to people and they're like, I'm not one of the main co-founders, but like I joined them in as like product design partner, and then like just doing like sourcing out like the congressmen that are coming in to do these deals. And now I'm just working on like product full time. And what we were trying to do is like we automated everything, went off to congressmen. They're like, oh, we love this. And then when the company did it with the DNC chairman, he liked it so much. Like we got more calls out and emails out to people who would actually respond, because that's how the algorithm worked. That it was doing it at a fraction of the cost, a fraction of the time. And the guy liked it so much. He's like, next time we do this, like we're coming to you, and like we're gonna like market you guys. We're just gonna like, that's interesting in this stuff. We're just gonna like tell you. Like a lot of people actually do know who we are in the Democratic Party. Like not saying that we lean Democrat or Republican, but like on average is that like there's more Democrats. Like people, I guess like there's more money in the Democrat Party. So like we just offer the service. Like we don't align with the political party.
There's so many things I want to touch on that, but unfortunately we are nearing our time. So there's a few more questions I wanted to fit in for you. But I love everything that you're doing, from your investments and this new startup, and you've had the worth ethic track record for quite a long time. Tell me about how you're balancing this with something as time consuming as school.
I don't sleep.
You don't sleep at all.
I don't sleep.
How much are you sleeping these days?
Average usually 3 to 4 or 5 hours a
gosh.
day, and then sometimes on the weekends. Like if you're calling me at like 3 p.m. on like a Friday or Saturday and I don't like pick up at all, it's probably because I'm in bed. Really? Yeah, like sometimes I usually get off these meetings because like one of my firms like headquartered in Singapore, like Hong Kong, or like calling our advisors or other investors, like other people that we're talking to. Usually they're in other like time regions, like the Middle East, like they're in Dubai, they're in Singapore, they're in like China, or like they're just off somewhere. Like I'm like, hey, are you here? And then like partners like, I'm in Japan right now. Can you call me in 3 hours? Because like it's daytime for them. I'm like, congratulations. They're like 15 hours ahead of me. So like daytime or nighttime for you when you're free, and like after you're eating dinner, it's like 4 a.m. for me. I'm just like, sure, like fuck it. Like I'm just not gonna go to class tomorrow because my latest class starts at what, 10 a.m. I was pretty smart with it this year. And like I go to bed, reply to some messages, emails, work stuff, 5, usually around at least 4 or 5. And I'm just laying in bed and I'm like, I did not do anything for myself. I'm just swiping through TikTok, or like Chinese TikTok or Instagram Reels. Like all my friends just keep sending me, and I'm sending it back to them. And it's just so funny. And like that's why like I swear I had ADHD in the past. This app just made it worse. Like it's really interesting. Like it helps so many people. But like it's just like I'm just like on it. I'm like, okay, 2 more. It was like what? I said 2 more like every single time, like 3 or 4, and then I have like after 2 more, 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and the sun's already coming up.
Honestly, it reminds me of like the fidget spinner trend, like that used to be for pure ADHD people.
I hated those things. It became so like big. Every kid had one, and they were like thinking it was little ninja stars. So I was like, oh, look at my little fidget spinner. It's like it was $50, and it never stopped spinning. I'm like, oh, it never stopped spinning. And I grabbed it and just like clocked it on his forehead. And like he just complained and like told the teacher. I'm like, you said it never stopped spinning. It was so annoying with it because like I think like you need some oil grease in those things. So that like, if you don't like grease them up, like it makes this like click, 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 click sound. Right. And he just wouldn't stop spinning it right behind me. I'm like, I don't care if you have like a note from your parents that faked being your doctor saying that you have ADHD and you're allowed to spin this thing. Like I just grabbed it and just like threw it across the room. And the teacher was like, what was that? I'm like, what was what?
Well, there you go. We got a fidget spinner op right here.
I hated everything about fidget spinners.
But you said that you'd sometimes just dismiss your classes at some point. So what role does college play for you? Do you think
it's like a side quest for me now? Like I think I'm still here. Like I still want to keep up a 3.5 GPA or higher. Like just like, and then like I'm here, and a lot of people just ask me like, why aren't you just dropping out? I'm like, I'm not really at the full like time overload that I have to drop out. Like I can still handle my college classes. Like I'm usually like a month or 2 after I finally come back to do my classes. Like there's a midterm coming, and then I'm just like spend 10-12 hours just grinding out this one class, do the midterm the next day.
do you think you're able to do that because of your major, or like the major you chose?
Not really. I feel like if it was any major, I could have done this. A lot of my friends do this. Like they either double or triple major too. And they're just like, I have not been doing anything. I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna put everything into the span of the next 3 days. Go off and take this midterm. Like whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, I'll have that exact same mindset. And the only reason I'm still here is that like I've made so many good friends here. Like so many friends that I can actually like relate with. Like they're either like also into finance, making their own products, making their own startups. Actually, not products. That like I just want to graduate with them. Like the experience of graduating with your friends and graduating college is just something I want to have. Because like the time I spent in my high school was just so bad. I'm just like, I don't want to do that like BS again. Like I actually want to go through like a full like college experience, get it done. Like who cares? Like it doesn't hurt you to stay in school. Unless like you're going off and like you're actually making such a big like 9-10 figure valued company unicorn stage, like at that point just drop out, dude. You're set for life.
I think that's a great way of putting it. It's like you recognize the position where you are at currently, and you feel like the human aspect and the fun aspect of college is still something that's extremely valuable to you, so you don't have to throw it all away for it. Yeah, I love that. Well, awesome. Going into the closing section of the podcast, we have a tradition where the last guest asks the next guest a question without knowing who it is. The question that's been left for you is, if you were a video game character, what game would you be in and what skills would you have?
Oh God. I think like the main issue is that like every game I've ever played, like in high school, like I didn't say this earlier, I played PUBG Mobile.
PUBG Mobile?
Yeah, and I went pro in it too. Like I played 2 games on behalf of like Team China.
Wow. Wait,
Like,
you were like really pro?
Yeah.
Dang.
And then it was like 6 teams of 4 sent by every country. And at the end, it was like the world games. And I was like, bro, this is the Asian games. This is like what? Like China, Japan, Korea, and Singapore. And then everyone else like world games question mark. But like it ended up working out and then we won. That was like one of the best experiences of my life. I was actually like, okay. That's when I first realized like all the time that you put into something and it actually turns into results, it feels really nice. Yeah. But I definitely do not want to be a PUBG character. No. Because the thing is PUBG is like, you get shot many times and you don't die, okay? Like
you have the power of the frying pan hat, man.
Literally. And then like I think like there was this case where like frying pans in the game can stop bullets and it can like stop grenades. And then I'm like, if you actually throw a frying pan on a grenade, congratulations, you are gonna go. You're just gonna die. But actual video games. So this is what I'm like. It's hard for me to answer this question. Like every video game that I feel was just like shooting at each other and stuff.
You wouldn't want to be there.
Let me see. You know Reaper from Overwatch.
Oh.
Like that guy, like always. Like that was pretty impressive. Like when I was playing that back in high school or like middle school, like I really liked it. Like Reaper was just like it felt like my thing.
So if you were Reaper, like what would be your special skills, you think?
I don't remember. Just like creeping around as like a black cloud and just like coming up behind people. Like you don't have to kill them, but you can just like scare the absolute shit out of them. And the best thing is about Overwatch and these game characters that like they always respawn. Right. They don't die. Like you can kill me, but I'm gonna like probably respawn 10 seconds later somewhere else.
That's stealthiness. I love it. Yeah.
I think that's what I would do.
So going on with the tradition, what would be like a question you'd want to ask the next guest?
What I want to ask, if you could eat only one thing, unlimited, and you can only eat this one thing in the world for the rest of your life until you die, what would it be? Like it seems easy, but you're really gonna have to consider this question. Because people absolutely get depressed as hell when they can only eat one thing. So you better consider this carefully.
Right. And I mean, whatever you pick, I feel like you're gonna get sick of it anyways.
Yeah.
So I think
it
have
doesn't
to
matter.
Make the most of it.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Alvin. It's been a great talk. There was a lot of points that we could have definitely got more in depth for, but hopefully when this new startup becomes something big, or maybe something happens with FutureX, I'd love to have you back on and we could talk more about that part. So yeah, thank you so much for hopping on, Alvin.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.